gonna be one of those days, isn't it? Now you're reviewing with power! Modern games, retro games, what's the difference? I'm here to review games, and make a complete fool out of myself in the process. Whether a gem or a turd, I'll show you these games inside and out. You ready? Balrog's Nintendo Game Room. Alright, so if you're someone like me who plays video games constantly and looks at computer screens 24/7, you probably get distracted really easily. You know that feeling when you're doing homework or working on some big project, when all of a sudden, gotta check Facebook, text message, gotta beat high score. Yeah. So when I got a pretty trollish email from Nintendo asking if I check my email too much, I was all like, hey, don't freaking mock me, I'ma delete you, I'ma delete you. Oh wait, this game's about concentration. And it was then that I knew I had to buy the new Brain Age. Email. So back in 2004, before the DS came out, Nintendo wanted to make a game that appealed to both traditional and casual gamers. Before all this. So after a bunch of planning, someone in Nintendo went up to Satoru Iwata like, hey man, go read this book! And something wonderful sparked in that man's head. The book's called Train Your Brain, 60 Days to a Better Brain, by Dr. Ryuta Kawashima. So after Iwata and Kawashima met at the DS launch event, Iwata was so intrigued by his research that he wanted to make a game about it. And with that, Brain Age was born, and sold millions with its 2 DS installments. Now personally, I really enjoy the series. I remember 13-year-old me playing it in class, feeling really smart, instead of doing my actual schoolwork. Well, I still think it was worth it. But as the game states, does this game really help you improve your concentration? Is that all this game has? Does it have my beloved Sudoku mode? Well, let's get my brain trained and find out. So as the norm of the series, you're greeted by a floating head of Dr. Kawashima, who says how much your brain sucks and why you need this program to make it better. However, this time, with the game being about concentration, talks about people's information addiction, and how the game's supposed to relieve you of distractions. Sounds pretty cool, right? Well, that's where the game wrecks you, and the doctor turns into a demon, and you can't say no, and oh man, it is scary. So the first devilish exercise, as Kawa Demon here states, is
devilish calculations,
where you have to memorize the last 2 math problems shown to you, while writing the answer to the problem given 2 problems ago instead of the current answer. Now if you think that sounds a bit confusing, well, let's just say my mind, Now the way these exercises work is that you have a timer up top of the screen. For devilish training, the one we're talking about now, you have a timer of 5 minutes of training. When you finish a set of problems like 2 back and get above a certain percentage, you go up a level. However, if you mess up a little bit, you stay the same, and if you royally screw up, you go down a level. The point's to get the highest score you can, which means you can eventually go to 3 back, 4 back, heck, 99 back. But apparently the world record right now is 20 back, so yeah, I can't even do 3. Anyway, back to the training. After you beat the first exercise, more exercises are unlocked that are way more challenging. For instance, while devilish training trains your working memory, supplemental training helps speed it up. The modes here represent a lot of the old DS ones too, like calculations times 20, word attack, and brain teasers like by the numbers. I definitely enjoyed these a lot more, since they don't make my brain feel freaking inept. Along with this, there's also brain training exercises, with cool puzzles like Blockhead and Klondike, and relaxation mode, with puzzle games that resemble stuff like Wario's Woods and Dr. Mario. But now that we know what this game has to offer, there's a problem with this review in itself. You see, after playing this game for a week or so, I started to wonder, how long does it take to unlock everything? Well, after a fancy trip to GameFAQs, it takes 40 days. And you know me, I can't fully review a game for you guys if I haven't played it the whole way through. So I'm gonna take Dr. Kawashima's brain training every day, and in April, I'll let you know if it was worth delving into the whole way. But if you're stumped on buying it right now, let's do a review of what we've seen so far after a week of playing. Cue the transition. It's cute. Let's go. Now first up is fun. Now this game so far is my least favorite experience in the Brain Age series. The main exercises of the bunch, devilish training, are way too hard to get any enjoyment out of. I mean, after a week I started to get used to it, but it's the kind of hard that just makes me want to rage quit. Not to mention several of the exercises are just harder variations of 2-back and matching games, and seeing that you unlock only one of these a day, it made me angry that the challenges were just so samey. And that's another glaring fault of the game, the unlocking process. After playing 5 minutes of an exercise in that mode, you can't touch it again for the rest of the day. You can in other modes, but just not that one. So on day 1, with only 3 or 4 other things to do, it really irked me that I just spent $30 on a game and spent more time watching a floating head lecture me than actually playing the darn game. Also, the game's handwriting recognition is downright annoying. It usually gets what you write 99% of the time, but there'll often be a point where you mess up and it'll throw your entire memory off in the exercise. Despite these faults though, I still had some fun after playing a week of relaxation mode and supplemental training, and just having more options available to me. But even then, as of now, I haven't found an exercise that seems to wow me in any way. Check minus. Second up is looks, and there's really not much to talk about here. The fonts and presentation are clean, menus are easy to navigate through, and Dr. Kawashima's head... well... not really much to complain about here. Check. Now sound-wise is pretty much the same thing. There's a couple neat sound effects which are ironically stuck in my head, and Dr. Kawashima's voice is actually crisp and clean. He even talks to you a bit while you do your training, and instead of being distracting, he's actually kind of encouraging. Hey, you're doing a great job. That's the stuff. If you mess up, you're buying me dinner tonight. Wait, what? Check. Now lengthwise, I can't really say anything at this point, but at least we know it'll take 40 days to unlock everything. And with new content every day, it's definitely enough to keep me coming back for that time so far. Now despite the good presentation, as of now, I'm not very impressed with what I bought here. A lot of better exercises can be found on the DS versions, and Devilish Training is infuriating and disappointing. And for a game called Brain Age, there's not even a clear indicator of what your number is anymore, just a rank! What? And even my beloved Sudoku mode from the DS ones are nowhere to be found! No! No! But if there's a positive thing I have to say about this game, it has made me concentrate better, so I don't know, maybe I'm just not seeing the fun yet, but I am seeing the results. But for right now, it is a check minus and a mediocre, and we'll come back to this later and change the score if need be. So, you know what we gotta do now. Let's do this. Let's do this.